Hi, I'm Batsa, back with another video. Today I want to talk about how PAX Day was supposed to be a cloud-native game that is available on every platform, that means PC, consoles and mobile devices. I had to do a little digging for this video, but not too much, as most of the information is available on the website of the company developing the game, Mainframe Industries, and their Facebook page. All the links to the articles and other sources are down below in the description. If you're not sure what cloud gaming is, it means playing a game on remote servers, or the cloud as it is referred to, which have dedicated hardware to run the game and then streaming the game output to the user's device. The user sends feedback through their device to the service provider, thus completing the loop. The advantages of cloud gaming are the ability to play games with high-level system requirements on low-level devices, as the computation is not done on the user end, the ability to play on different platforms such as consoles and smartphones, though the game developers still need to support it with UI and such. Another advantage is not needing to download and patch the games you want to play. The disadvantages are the increased latency, as the data needs to go to and from the cloud to the user, and in cases where the game runs on servers such as MMOs, there are now 3 parties in the input-output loop, up from 2 when you play games hosted on servers without cloud gaming. Another disadvantage is that you need to pay a subscription to access cloud gaming, and you still need to buy the game to be able to play it. For example, using Nvidia's GeForce Now, you can connect your Steam, Epic Games or Ubisoft accounts and play games you have purchased there. You don't get a free library of games just by paying a sub for the cloud gaming provider. You also need a high speed and a reliable internet connection for cloud gaming. Some of the more popular cloud gaming services are Google Stadia. Oh wait, not this one. They are GeForce Now, PlayStation Plus, Amazon Luna, Xbox Cloud Gaming, and a few more. So let's go to the company website. The first clue to the intent of its founders is in the name, Mainframe Industries, Mainframe. A large high-speed computer, especially one supporting numerous workstations or peripherals. You can read about the aim of Mainframe. To create a persistent social world that reflects the best strands of our collective DNA as game developers, forging a fresh take on a storage genre, with a game that our players will call home, whether they choose to access our world from their PC, console or phone. We aim to be one of the first studios to create an experience made for the new medium that is cloud gaming. I'm not sure if the game was supposed to be cloud exclusive, meaning you can't even download the game client, and the game being only accessible on some of the cloud platforms, or some sort of combination of PC and cloud gaming, but let's continue exploring. When scrolling down a bit, you can see the timeline of the company. I do appreciate the openness here. They do provide links to the important milestones of Mainframe. As you can see, Mainframe is a startup company. The seed, Series A and Series B rounds are terms for fundraising rounds in a startup company. I attached a link to an Investopedia article that explains these funding rounds down below. Most of the gaming companies are not startups, because it's usually hard to find investors that are willing to invest in a gaming company. I found a nice Quora answer regarding this, I have a link to it as well. Being advertised as a cloud game which can be played on different devices drew attention from investors to Mainframe. Let's start going over the timeline. In April 2019, the company was founded and the Finnish studio was opened. And in October the same year, the Icelandic studio was opened and the company was publicly revealed. Let's check out the review announcement. Cloud gaming is front and center here. New Nordic Studio is working on the first MMO developed specifically for cloud gaming. Veterans of CCP, Remedy and Next Games have partnered to launch Mainframe Industries, a new Reykjavik-based MMO studio focused on building the first MMO specifically developed for cloud platforms. I'm not too familiar with different games and game studios, but CCP is mostly known for EVE Online, which is an old sandbox space MMO. Remedy is known for single-player shooter games such as Max Payne and Alan Wake, and Next Games is a mobile games company, which has been acquired by Netflix 3 years ago. The rest of the article continues in the same vein. Let's move on to the seed round link. It's pretty much the same thing with the cloud gaming hype. The group believes cloud gaming, which promises friction-free play from social networks and streaming platforms on any device, will usher in a new era of creativity and play for developers and gamers alike. If I go to Mainframe's Facebook page and scroll from the bottom up, I can see a link to a video about how user acquisition and retention will look like in the era of cloud gaming, with Thor, the CEO, and one of the investors. User acquisition and retention. Probably making a good game is key to attracting players and keeping them. Anyway, like I said, all the links are in the description, you can check all of them yourselves. In 2020 and 2021, the company did 2 more fundraising rounds, bringing more money and more investors, while the focus is still on being a cloud game that can be played on any device. One interesting detail from the Series A round link is that one of the investors was appointed as the new chairman of the board. So I guess the board consists of the different investors or their representatives who put money into the company, plus the CEO of Mainframe. If I go back to the Investopedia article, you can see that there can be downsides to the funding rounds, such as dilution of ownership, increased expectations, loss of autonomy, and more. I'm not saying that it's what happened with Mainframe, but it is possible. If I check the websites of the companies that have invested in Mainframe, all of them mention cloud gaming and or multiple platforms as their reasons for investing, as I show in these 5 web pages. There was a lot of news about Mainframe in late 2021. There was an announcement about the Series B raising of 20 million euros. There's also a video of Thor, the CEO, talking about the game with a different investor, still focusing on the cloud and multi-platform format. One investor in the timeframe that is not mentioned on the Mainframe website is Xbox Game Studios. There is this article about Xbox working with Mainframe on PAX Day in order to have the game available on Xbox Cloud Gaming, possibly as an Xbox exclusive. Here's the YouTube clip that was referenced to in that article.
And I do know that Microsoft's working with a studio in Finland, or at least I've heard they're working with a studio in Finland called Mainframe on making a cloud-native game. I have no details about that. It could be tied up to one of the code names that I do know about that I don't know the project info for. But that is what I've heard, that they are looking to make these sort of cloud-native games.
However, that deal didn't materialize, and I found this article with another video link. Let's watch this bit.
Mainframe Industries, which is that studio that was making that cloud-based MMO that I said Xbox Game Studios was interested in publishing. It raised $23 million, not from Microsoft, from Andreessen Horowitz and a bunch of other investors. And as part of that deal, my understanding is that they backed off of the agreement, of any agreements or potential agreements with Microsoft and Xbox. And this game will probably come out as a multi-platform game. So no longer an Xbox Game Studios project. It sounds to me like there's a chance that like one was played off of the other to try to increase the amount of money they might get here, and Microsoft just was part of that and was a good partner. But then I think investors are realizing that games might be a good way to like make some money right now again. So that interest has come back and gave them a chance to make a lot of money right now, and they'll be able to maintain their independence with this. So I think that was appealing to them as well.
The article said at the end, this was a rather unexpected turn of events, but we still know very little about PAX Day, and with nobody going on record, we're missing pieces to the story here, and may never truly know the root cause of this deal breaking down. Oh man, give me the gossip, give me all the juicy details, come on. But never mind, let's move forward. 2022 seemed to be a quiet year for Mainframe. Looking at their Facebook page, they seem to be recruiting more developers, growing the company, and working on their still unannounced cloud MMO game. This picture from October 2022 shows around 70 people now working for the company. And this leads us to March 1st, 2023, when the game was officially announced. This time the focus seems to be shifted, so the game will be launched on PC Steam first. They still mention the other platforms they want the game to be played on, but there's no mention of cloud gaming. Let's watch this part.
Currently we're focusing on the PC platform, and we're focusing on launching it on Steam. We're also working on multi-platform. We have the game working for other platforms, and we already have prototypes of that, but the current focus is the PC launch on Steam. The ultimate idea is that we want the game to be playable from any device. It's a way to casually engage with the game, maybe at work or in the car, and it's very handy to be able to do this from any device, like a mobile device.
I have never owned a gaming PC, and I have always admired the beautiful worlds that PC players get to experience, and this is my chance actually as a more casual gamer to join in on the fun together with the core MMO players, having my own little niche thing to do in the world of PAX Day.
So this is definitely interesting. I assume that in this time frame, cloud gaming lost some of its appeal, as it didn't seem to be on the way to become mainstream. Google Stadia announced its shutting down in 2022, and most of the other cloud gaming services weren't doing too well. Microsoft's cloud gaming, for example, which at one point was supposed to include PAX Day, as I mentioned, is still in beta and is only available in 28 countries as of now. 3 months later, Mainframe posted another video titled Who We Are, and I want to play a part of this video.
So what's unusual about the team at Mainframe, and this was very purposeful when we were forming our startup studio, we wanted to really bring together developers that, number one, had quite a bit of experience, but more importantly, developers that had expertise across MMO game development, across mobile gaming, and across AAA and PC and console gaming. But also it was critical for us to supplement the expertise that we have here in Iceland in MMO development, live operations, with a team that brought a pedigree from mobile gaming and from AAA PC and console gaming. And we found that in Helsinki.
It was mentioned several times before that in some of the articles, but it seems that the Finnish studio is mostly focused on mobile and console gaming, which is interesting since the game focus was shifted to PC first. Was most of their work done in vain? Later that year, in November, the game had a closed alpha, which I wasn't invited to. On January 8, 2024, the game was featured at the NVIDIA special address at CES, and it was revealed that the game will enter early access in spring the same year, with an announcement about it on the PAX Day website coming the next day. This came as a surprise to me and other followers of the development of the game, as it seemed to be way too soon even for an early access. There was another alpha in April, and then the game went into early access on June 19th. I spoke briefly about it in my previous video, but in general, there were a lot of issues that were expected, since the game was in such an early stage of development, but in the time since then, the pace and quality of game updates were subpar. The game was recently added to GeForce Now, so it is finally available on a cloud gaming platform. I'm not sure about the popularity of the game over there. I doubt it attracted thousands of new players, especially considering you need to have the game in your Steam or Epic Games library to play it on GeForce Now. But if you're playing the game on that platform, let me know about the game experience and which devices currently support the game. I couldn't find the answer on the official Discord. So let's finish this part and move to my conclusions. Yes, some of them are speculations, but they are not baseless ones. I based them on the information I had before and from the research I did when making this video. I do believe that some of the founders of the company are passionate about the project and just want to make a good game. But it's not that easy. Focusing on cloud gaming and multi-platform helped attract investors, but I'm not sure that most of the players are willing to play their MMOs like that. The technology so far didn't go mainstream. Maybe it will someday, but not just yet. Still, it seemed to be going fine from the founding of the company in 2019 to around 2022. Something happened then. Maybe some of the investors became disillusioned with cloud gaming because of Stadia going down or something like that. The pivot to focus on PC first hurt the company, as there were many developers focusing on the console and mobile versions of the game. The decision to go into early access in such an early stage of the game shows to me that there was pressure from the board of directors to start getting revenue. I assume they didn't want to keep investing more money to progress the game's development without seeing the rewards of their investment. It also may indicate a loss of faith in the company. The marketing for the early access release was inadequate. They should have spent a lot more money on that and should have been a lot more aggressive, as there is a huge thirst for a good new MMO. Just look at Ashes of Creation, which has a huge amount of interest, even though their alpha costs over $100 to get into. Remember the user acquisition and retention video from 2020? The user acquisition wasn't great, one reason was the marketing, and the game launched with only an 11,500 peak concurrent players on Steam. And user retention wasn't great either, with the slow pace of bug fixes and updates to the game. So all this probably didn't bring in enough revenue and did not increase the investors' faith in the game. In one of the latest announcements, Mainframe said regarding the development timeline that they hit some delays with certain features, but they are confident that they should be able to release the game this year. From the pace and the quality of the game update so far, it is pretty clear that the game will not be in a good shape by the end of the year. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass, but it seems to me that this is sort of an ultimatum from the board of directors. Launch the game this year so we can see some revenue coming our way, or we want our money back. Before I finish this video, I want to focus on 2 more points. Because game updates and bug fixes are so slow to arrive, I went to Mainframe's LinkedIn page to check how they are doing. I had a feeling that there may be a lot of people who no longer work there. But the numbers seem to be steady. They did mention that they want to keep the company under 100 people, so all seems to be fine there. Another thing I wanted to check is the rate of startups that fail and the reasons for them failing. So apparently the failure rate is 90%. And this image of the reasons for failure is interesting. Let's go over them one by one. Misaligned product market fit. Yes, definitely true in this case. I don't think that MMO players are interested in cloud gaming, and they don't want to play such games on a phone, even though we all do have phones. Insufficient funding? I think it was going well for the first 3 rounds of funding, but now it seems that the investors want to see some returns before investing more, so probably also yes. Wrong people on the team? I don't know about that, but people focusing on cloud gaming and mobile and console platforms were doing work that may not result in a final product with the game shifting focus, so probably yes on that too. Can't survive competition? Yes, there are many better MMOs out there. Issues with pricing? I don't think so. Some people thought it was too expensive for $40 or euros, but I'm okay with that price. They did run a 50% discount lately, which brought in some new players. Bad product quality? If you played the game and or watched my previous video, the answer is yes. Unsustainable business model? They spoke about wanting the game to be subscription based when it launches. I'm personally perfectly okay with that, but for people willing to subscribe, there needs to be a good product first. And what about their initial idea with cloud gaming? In that case, you need to buy the game, pay the subscription to the cloud gaming service, and also sub to play the game? Yeah, I don't think many players would agree to that. So a tentative yes in this case. Ineffective sales and marketing? Most definitely. It's one of the biggest issues with the game. Customer needs ignored? I'd also say yes based on the player feedback for the game. I don't want to say ignored. I'm sure they want to address the issues raised by the players, but they just don't seem to be able to do it in a reasonable time period. Mistimed product launch? They did launch it way too soon even for an early access. So yes on that too. The next 3, focus loss, team disharmony and pivot issues? I'd say probably yes on all 3. Let me know what you think. Burnout or no passion? I do believe some of them have passion for the game. I don't know about burnout. Not enough skills? Sometimes it does feel like that, I'm sorry to say. And lastly, legal issues, I don't know about that. Well, that's all I wanted to cover. Despite everything I said, I do not want the game to fail. I played the game for 1800 hours, I had fun playing for the most part, I met some great people in the game and on various related Discord servers, and some not so great ones. I do hope that they manage to somehow steer the game in a good direction, but I just can't see that happening. I think it can only happen with a successful launch in terms of copies sold, so they can keep developing and improving the game, appeasing their investors, and maybe trying to do a Series 3 fundraising round. But I just don't see them selling enough copies in order to do that with the current state and the direction of the game. I'm only logging to the game to buy my daily grace for now, and I may even stop doing that. The next small update with the added compass, some new building pieces and chat bubbles coming back is not enough for me to start playing the game again. Meanwhile, I'm playing other games like Bellwright, and I'm waiting for the release of Dune Awakening in May. I hope it will be a good one. That's all for me. Batsa, signing out.